Hello and salam sejahtera. Today, me and my group mates will present to Doctor our article, a study by Zerrin Kili-Karslan, The Determinants of Exchange Rate Volatility, Empirical Evidence for Turkey.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. So as a part of introductions, since the Bretton Woods system collapsed in 1973, the fixed exchange rate system was no longer effective and the countries were left to fluctuate their money. Exchange rate volatility has become unavoidable for countries that adopting a fluctuating exchange rate system. In terms, exchange rate volatility is the variation of price of one currency in another currency. Volatility refers to all movement or changes that are effective in a currency depreciation or appreciation. Next, for the problem statement, excessive exchange rate volatility leads to delays in investment decision, causing uncertainty in the economy. It is also negatively affects economic growth by affecting investment and investor confidence, productivity, consumption, and international trade and capital flows. Lastly, high degree of uncertainty in ensuring price stability and economic growth and in setting macroeconomics and monetary policy target due to the exchange rate volatility. For the research objective, to determine the sources of exchange rate volatility in Turkey for period 1974 until 2016. So the objective have divided by three parts here. The first one is to determine the volatility of exchange rate. The second one is to determine the factors that affects exchange rate volatility. And the third one is to investigate the long-run relationship among variables.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Dr. Sarma. My name is Siti Faiza Halwa and today I will be presenting theoretical framework part. Achieving exchange rate stability is a very important deal in both developed and emerging countries' economy. This is according to Hassan, exchange rate volatility is very important that will influence the risk of the financial world. This is very important because all factors that could determine the foreign exchange supply and demand could cause the indirect exchange rate volatility to change. The determination of the exchange rate were based on the theoretical support on monetary and macroeconomic theories. Monetary theories assumes that the integration for goods and capital market states that the rate of change between the two countries' currency is supposed to be equal to the total price level between the two countries. Whereas for the macroeconomic theories were divided into Balassa-Samuelson approach and Nernst approach, which is the approach of a payment balance. Balassa-Samuelson approach focuses on the trade balance between the trade and the non-trade sector, while Nernst approach is more focused on the balance of payment. This is very important because appropriate payment balance lead to the excessive appreciation of the exchange rate, while imbalance in payment may cause the depreciation of the exchange rate in the country. Thus, foreign exchange demand and supply have a very important role in determining the exchange rate in the foreign exchange market. Besides, floating exchange rate regimes is most volatile compared to the fixed exchange rate regime according to Oikanen and Agassi in 2015. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sarma. As for my part, I will present about the literature review of this journal. In the literature on the determinants of exchange rate volatility, there are various empirical studies using time series or panel data analysis methodologies on different countries or even group of countries. It appears that the factors affecting exchange rate volatility are financial openness, net foreign asset and interest rate, fiscal balance, economic or trade openness, inflation volatility, commodity price, oil price, output, domestic movements, growth rate, volatility of output, government expenditure, money supply growth, money supply volatility, terms of trade shocks, FDI flows, foreign reserves, current account balance, and domestic and external debts. Based on the 19 various empirical studies on the determination of exchange rate volatility, they have different results by using different independent variables. But in this research, the macroeconomic variables that has been used is real effective exchange rate REER, foreign direct investment FDI, gross fixed capital formation GFCF, trade openness trade, general government final consumption expenditure GGFCE, GDP constant GDPC, and broad money growth money. So for the first macroeconomic variables that has been used in this journal, that is trade openness or trade, there are 4 researchers that has indicated that trade openness have positive impact on exchange rate volatility. That is first Calderon and Kubota 2018, Ajau and Ikbokoyi 2013, Asyama and Kuma 2010, and Stanchik 2007. While there are 2 researchers that says about the GDP, which is first Adusei and Gyapong 2017, which underpin the conclusion that GDP are significant predictors of exchange rate. But Hassan 2017 says that GDP has negative, statistically insignificant impact on exchange rate volatility. And there are many researchers that says about the government expenditure, which is first Alagidada and Ibrahim 2017, that says that exchange rate volatility was significantly influenced by government expenditure in the long run. Second, same goes to Oikenan and Yisi 2015 that show that government expenditure are among the major significant variables that influence exchange rate volatility. Third is Insa and Chira'a 2013 and Ajau and Ikbokoyi 2013 that revealed there exists positive relationship between government expenditure and exchange rate volatility. And lastly, Al-Samara 2019 found that government expenditure was found to have negative impact on exchange rate volatility. So from this empirical result of this journal, we can say that the independent variables influence the exchange rate volatility. Thank you. That's all from me.
So I will continue on the data and econometric methodology. This study used data from 1974 until 2016 for Turkey. All variables used in the analysis are used after the logarithms are taken. The economic function and the econometric function are shown in the slide next to me. The abbreviations, descriptions of variables, and the source of the data are presented in a table. In the application part of the study, first, the real exchange rate volatility is estimated using the real effective exchange rate with the Gauge model. Then, stationarity analysis is performed with ADF and PP unit group test. The Johansson cointegration test is used to test if there is any cointegration relationship between the variables. Lastly, the coefficients are also estimated with the help of the fully modified ordinary least squares model, also known as FMOLS. Now, let's move on to the econometric results. First, the real exchange rate volatility is estimated using the real effective exchange rate Gauge model. Then, LM test is used to test whether a variable contains arch effects. And in this case, if the value of LM is larger than the degree of freedom, the null hypothesis can be rejected. As seen in the table, the probability value according to the arch LM test is found to be significant at 5% level. This indicates that the null hypothesis is to be rejected, which means it is the arch effect and therefore has a volatility of the series. Thus, the Gauge variance series shows that it can be used as the measure of real effective exchange rate volatility. Next is unit root test. In this study, ADF and PP unit root test is performed to test the stationarity of the variables. In both tests, the null hypothesis is rejected if the test statistics are less than the critical values. Accordingly, the level of the null hypothesis for all variables cannot be rejected at the level of 5% significant level. However, it is found at the first differences of variables are stationary. The Johansson cointegration test can be performed because all of the variables used in the analysis are stationary at the first difference. After unit root test, next we need to determine the leg length and the appropriate model. VAR analysis is used to determine the optimum leg length as shown in the table. The appropriate number of leg length for the unrestricted VAR is 3 according to the LR, FPE, AIC, and HQ information criteria. The existence of long-run relationship between the variables is determined by Johansson cointegration test after the appropriate number of leg length are determined.
I'm Sandhya Saravanan. Next, I would like to continue with data, which is Johansson test and fully modified least square regression. Firstly, Johansson test. It is to trace statistic shows that there is at least one co-integration equation, meaning that the variables have long-term relationship. The co-integration test allowed that estimation modeling of the long-run relationship between variables and are stationary at the same level, but they are not stationary in their levels. The result of the Johansson test co-integration for determination of the existence a long-run relationship between variables. Johansson's approach uses two types of probabilistic test statistic, trace statistic and eigenvalue statistic. Trace statistic to examine whether the null hypothesis can be rejected. We conclude that at least one co-integration relationship. For our study, we need to reject the null hypothesis to establish the presence of co-integration between the variables. Other than this, in eigenvalue test, we ask the same central question as Johansson test. Both of the trace statistic test and the maximum eigenvalue statistic test at the 5% level show that the equation of co-integration is 5. This show the result there is a long-run relationship between the variables. Next, I would like to continue with fully modified least square regression. Fully modified least square regression is to provide optional estimates or co-integration regression. After the long-run relationship between variables has been established according to the result of the co-integration test, the severity and direction of the relationship has been estimated using fully modified least square regression method. The fully modified least square regression test is valid under the assumption all the variables are stationary in the first differences, and that there is a co-integration relationship between variables. The value of R square is 67% of variation in exchange rate volatility is due to variation in the independent variables. The result shows that the variables involved in the analysis among the major variables affecting exchange rate volatility. The result from fully modified least square revealed that log gross fixed capital formation, log money, and log trade positively affect significantly real effective exchange trade volatility. An increase in log gross fixed capital formation, which is used as a demonstration as domestic investment, and log money, which is used as an indicator of money supply, increase exchange rate volatility. The openness of the economy increases exchange rate volatility and trade openness. The reason for the increase in exchange rate volatility of the trade openness can be explained by the non-manufacturing trade is higher. The correlation between trade openness and real effective exchange rate volatility varies, especially when there is an adjusting between trade in manufacturing and non-manufacturing goods. Non-manufacturing trade may be contribute to real effective exchange rate volatility, which manufacturing trade helps balance in real effective exchange rate volatility. Foreign direct investment negatively affect insignificantly exchange rate volatility. The log GDP coefficient is negative and significant. The increase in log GDP shows that the exchange rate volatility are reduced. The reduce in log GDP suggests that the increase in output also increase the volatility. The effect of log general government. Final consumption expenditure of exchange rate volatility is negative and significant. The effect indicates that the increase in government spending has reduced exchange rate volatility. Thank you.
Siti Fatima bint Hussein. Today I will present the conclusion. The exchange rate volatility causes by volatility, investment, capital movement, production, imports and exports negatively affect. The various empirical study we use is time series and panel data analysis with different methodologies in different countries and different group of countries. To determine real effective exchange rate volatility on 1974 until 2016 in Turkey is we use Gush model, Johansson co-integration test and fully modified ordinary least squares. Okay. For the result from FMOLS revealed that domestic investment, money supply and trade openness positively affect real effective exchange rate, while foreign direct investment, effective exchange rate, output and government expenditure negatively affects. Policymakers can develop appropriate macroeconomy and monetary policy, taking into account these factors that can affect exchange rate volatility. Thank you.